Hi there, and thanks very much for tuning into this quick video about the International Brigades during the Spanish Civil War. Now, if you're here, it's probably because you're studying something on the subject, or you have a general curiosity and you'd like to know more. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you who the International Brigades were, where they came from, and what they did in Spain. Okay, so the International Brigades were made up of volunteer fighters from all across Europe, most of whom had never held a firearm in their lives before. They weren't trained soldiers or professional soldiers. Some had served in the First World War, but many were younger than that and were simply concerned with the civil war in Spain. They fought for the side of the Republic, the Spanish Republic that had come to power or had been declared in 1931 with the overthrow of the monarchy. In 1936, some of Spain's generals decided to rebel against the Republic, and they travelled from Spanish Morocco with an army, and they were flown over by Hitler's Condor Legion, the German the German expeditionary force in Spain, in order to overthrow the left-leaning republic that was not in Hitler's interests to exist. The British and the French did not wish to become involved in a general European war over Spain. The two outcomes that were likely were that either a fascist Spain would emerge or a socialist Spain, and neither was worth the British and the French in their eyes shedding any blood or treasure over. And as a result, many people that were opposed to fascism in Britain, in France, in America, in Germany, and in other countries looked on in horror after 1936 at the threat to overthrow the Republic from Spain's generals. And it was from here that the volunteers emerged. Now, they weren't unorganised. They were organised, they were led by Comintern. Comintern was the international revolutionary organisation of the Soviet government that was dedicated to controlling the communist movement across Europe, the communist parties in each European country, in the interests of the Soviet government. And it was Comintern that organised the international brigades. Stalin wanted to find some way of sending a fighting force to Spain to fight on behalf of the Republic, and hopefully to draw Germany into a war in Spain, which would bog Germany down for many years and make it less likely that Germany would be able to attack the Soviet Union. Stalin knew that he couldn't send an army directly. That might possibly result in Hitler attacking the Soviet Union and having completely opposite effect that Stalin wanted. So instead, he allowed the communist parties of Europe to organise volunteers to go to Spain, and these were normally young working class men, some women, though obviously women at that point would not have been allowed to take part in the fighting. Many were involved, but were sent as nurses and nursing auxiliaries and doctors, but young working class men with some middle and sometimes even upper class participants, but mainly working class, many of whom were members of communist parties, but many who weren't, many who were simply appalled at the rise of fascism across Europe and wanted to do something about it. There were men, particularly if you look at the example from Britain, men and women who had fought Oswald Mosley's British Union of Fascists on the streets of Great Britain, and went from that experience on to fighting fascism in a wider context. They weren't obviously the only forces defending the Republic. The Spanish Republic had its own army, and the Spanish Republic sometimes saw the volunteers as useful, sometimes they thought of them as nuisances. In 1938, as the war was winding down, a part of a deal between the generals, the fascist generals, and the Republic was that the international brigades be sent home, and that probably suggests that they were all of limited use. Large numbers of them got killed. It was a very, very dangerous state of affairs, and living conditions were extremely harsh. The men who crossed into France from Britain and who made it across French territory, dodging the police all the way, because Britain and France had signed a non-intervention agreement, and there was a non-intervention force policing the journey to the Spanish border, sending men back and sometimes even imprisoning them. Those that made it across the Pyrenees had very tough conditions indeed. They were given one opportunity when they finally got to the other side to turn around. If they deserted while they were while they were fighting for the Republic, they could face execution, just as a desertion from an army at that point one would. So it was no picnic, and the Communist Party of Great Britain, before men left to join the International Brigade, told them as much. This wasn't a party, it was serious business. Okay, that was just one quick bite of the Spanish Civil War. I'm hoping to add another video later this week. If you want to subscribe to this channel, there should be a funky little animation coming up. Get yourself subscribed there, and you'll get regular history updates from this channel coming to you every single week. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye-bye.